At the Whitcomb Mallet Fair, people are getting brutally murdered. Can Barnaby and Nelson find the killer, or will they have to comfort themselves with some deep fried Oreos? We're talking unhappy endings.
The history of fun fairs.
And Sykes the escape artist in this episode of.
Welcome to Midsummer.
Hello, and welcome to Midsummer, the podcast where we dissect all the mysteries, the murders, and the many weird things about the long running hit TV show, Midsummer Murders. I'm your host, Eric Buscher, and with me, as always, is my co host, Eileen Becker. Hey, Eileen.
Hey Eric, we are talking about Harvest of Souls, the sixth episode of the 18th series. It originally aired February 17th, 2016. It was directed by Nick Laughlin and written by Caleb Ransom. Let's settle up.
Spoiler warning, we will be discussing the events of this episode, including the identity of the murderer. So if you haven't watched it yet and don't want to know who done it, pause this and go watch it. We will still be here when you get back.
His name is Harry Wyam. He owns this place. Lives up at the manor house.
Time of death?
Sometime between 10 and midnight last night.
I'm sure this wasn't a tragic accident, trampled to death by his horse.
He was certainly trampled by it. Whether or not it's the cause of death, jury's still out on that one.
It's the time of the Whitcomb Mallet Harvest Fair, and local rich guy Harry Wyam wanders through the grounds headed to the local pub. He accosts Sean Nevins, one of the Nevins family who help run the fair, and then threatens him, but Sean shrugs it off. Inside the pub, owner Rowena Daly tells Harry that he can't do this to them, but he says they only have one chance. Her husband Niall comes in and offers him a pint. Later on that night, Harry wanders back to his stables, sipping a beer. He hears a noise inside, and when he goes in, everything gets blurry and he collapses. Someone drags him into a horse stall and leaves him on the ground, then fires a gun into the air, which causes the horse in the stall to trample Harry. Over the credits, we watch John Barnaby begin packing for a vacation with Sarah to La Rochelle, France. However, the trip is in peril because their beloved dog Sykes is apparently unable to be kennelled. Before they can figure out what to do, John's called to the scene of the crime, where Coroner Cam tells him she doesn't think the cause of death was an accidental horse trampling due to the bullet lodged in the roof beam. They talk to center employees Rod Barkham and his wife Jerry, who tell them that Harry took over the equestrian center from his father a few months ago. He had big plans to build a much larger equestrian center and arena, which would take over the village, so a number of the villagers he gave notice to might have wanted him dead. Harry's parents, Jasper and Serena, are both shocked by his death, saying Harry was a wonderful son, which, by now we should all know that means he wasn't. Also, running around the manor house are his sister Beth and his young daughter Amy. Harry was married to Jessica Myerscough, but they divorced and he got custody of Amy for mysterious reasons. Jessica lives in the village with her mother, Clara, the town vet. They stop into the pub and talk to Niall, who said that Harry had offered to buy the pub, but they had said no. He does say that Harry's plans had angered Clara and the Nevinses. Is it Nevin? I wonder,
Nevinses. Nevinses. It's not
wouldn't
that
the
hard.
wouldn't the plural of Nevinses be Nevin's eye?
No, it's not Latin.
All right. The Nevinses perform the Wall of Death, a stunt show that involves them riding motorcycles around and around on the side of a wall. Patriarch Butch Nevin says that he had an argument with Harry over the bikes, spooking the horses. But he wasn't really worried about Harry's plans to end the fair because the villagers want a fair. He's going to give them a fair. Clara was also not super worried about getting kicked out, saying she had wanted a new location anyways. Jessica tells them that her relationship with Harry was good and that they both wanted what was best for Amy. Jessica had some undisclosed issues that meant she was not allowed access to Amy, but was hoping to be a part of her life again, something Harry apparently wasn't keen on. Later, she asked for Rowena's help to see Amy, as Rowena often helps out with her. Turns out Sean is seeing Beth, but he doesn't want to involve her, so he and his brother Dale cover for each other with the police. Later, at a performance of the Wall of Death, someone points a gun with a silencer at Dale while he rides, but doesn't shoot. The detectives learn that Harry had a lethal dose of ketamine, horse tranquilizer, in his system, which is what killed him. They also find a mysterious red substance on his clothes, which turns out to be the kind of fake blood Sean works with at the fair. Since Clara and Jessica would have access to ketamine, and since Harry had a restraining order against Jessica because she had violently confronted Harry, they go back to talk to them. But Clara and Jessica insist they had not noticed any ketamine missing, and Jessica insists the Wyams lied about her to get that order to keep her from Amy. Meanwhile, Nelson shows up at the fair with a bunch of uniformed officers to search the place. They end up finding the gun wrapped in a towel underneath Sean's trailer. When questioned, Sean first says he was with Beth, but finally admits that a drunken Harry started a scuffle with him the night he was murdered, which is how the paint got on him. Jerry tells Butch that her husband is aware she wasn't where she was supposed to be. And when he notices Clara watching them talk, Butch tells Clara to mind her business. That night, Jasper hears a noise in the stables and runs out with a shotgun to find people stealing horses. The detectives learn that the thieves knew how to disable the gate and the cameras, so was this an inside job? They also find a bottle of Clara's ketamine on the ground, but when they go to question her, she says someone broke into her office and stole all the controlled substances. Apparently, just by doing an extensive Google search, Nelson puts together that there have been a number of horse thefts in the areas that Nevitzes have visited with their show. But Butch and his wife say they have nothing to do with that. They also find texts from Harry that indicate Rowena was trying to sell the pub to him and that he had taken her horse because she owed a lot of stable fees. But Niall didn't know about the negotiations, saying that moving to the village and buying the pub was supposed to be a fresh start for them both after the loss of their child. But the pub is a money pit, and Rowena wants the money for one last chance at another child, something Niall says he can't go through again. Jasper discovers Clara and Serena looking at the Wyam's horse and gets quite angry. Clara and Serena are old friends, but when Clara asks about Jessica getting to see Amy, things get icy. Jessica isn't happy that her mom did this, but Clara reminds her that this mess is all Jessica's fault. So Jessica tells Rowena that she needs money to fight for custody and is going to do something about it. That night, Clara sees someone outside the practice, and when she investigates, she's cattle prodded and then drowned in an equine spa. Tourist info. This is our first and only stop in Whitcomb Mallet, a lovely village known for its equestrian center, the local oak woods, and the annual harvest festival. Come see the Wall of Death, the haunted house ride, and maybe even become the Harvest Queen. Make sure you wear your safety belts on the rides. Wouldn't want you to fall and hurt yourself.
Standing in for the Wyams Manor House is Hall Barn in Beaconsfield, not far from the Beckenscott model village that we saw in Small Mercies. The land that Hall Barn was built on was bought by Anne Waller in 1624, and the manor house was built by her son, the poet Edmund Waller, around 1680. Edmund's poetry is rarely read today, though he was quite popular in his day. He was also a member of Parliament and got into some trouble during the English Civil War. The estate stayed in the Waller family until it was sold to Sir Gore Owsley, the ambassador to Persia, whose extensive collection of Asian arts and treasures remain in the house. In 1880, the estate was purchased by Edward Levy Lawson, 1st Baron Burnham, who was the proprietor of the Daily Telegraph. The estate remains in the Lawson family, and you can get married there. It has been restored to its pre-Victorian footprint and has been used for filming many movies and television shows, including The Crown, Downton Abbey, Gosford Park, Eyes Wide Shut, Black Beauty, and Call the Midwife. One of the most memorable scenes was from Chariots of Fire, where the character, Lord Andrew Lindsay, practiced running the hurdles near the house by placing glasses of champagne on each hurdle.
So if this was an Eyes Wide Shut, that means it was the house for the orgy.
I think so, yeah.
Woohoo! Orgy house.
Probably just the outside.
All right, so our strange kill number one, we're calling ketamine horse death. So Harry is poisoned with ketamine. It's a horse tranquilizer in his beer. Then he is left in the stall, and the horse is triggered to crush Harry to death. Now, ketamine is an anesthetic that has a history of illegal use. In the 90s and early 2000s, you might have heard of ravers taking Special K. That's ketamine. But there have been a lot of recent studies saying it can be used to treat depression. So a lot of people have probably heard about ketamine in the news lately, thanks to one gentleman I believe goes by the name Elon Musk.
Never heard of him.
Yep. He is the owner of Tesla and the Doge Master of the United States government, is a huge proponent of the drugs. And according to some news reports, he told people while campaigning for Trump he was on so much ketamine he had bladder control issues. Which apparently a lot of doctors say that is overdosing on ketamine. It's a very gruesome death.
Yeah.
With that blood spatter on his chest, like being very like visible as you kind of see his body. Like they really kind of showed his body. They don't really show like the hooves kind of crushing the chest, but they show like hooves going down and the body kind of jerks up and the hooves go down and the body, and it was still a lot of blood.
Yeah, I actually thought it was very well done because they intercut it with those scenes of the carousel, which is something that you think of as so benign and beautiful and everything. And it gets this kind of strangers on a train finale at the carousel kind of
Oh
feel
yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I could see that.
yeah,
I also thought it was just a nice effect when Harry starts like giving into the, going over to the ketamine, whatever you want to call it. Starts like the ketamine kicks in, and all of a sudden his vision just goes real blurry.
yeah, yeah.
That was a nice effect. All right, so the big thing in this episode is the Harvest Fair, which is spelled Fayre, I believe.
Yeah. Some
Uh,
sort of antiquated spelling that I'm sure they made up.
it looks like an average county fair that apparently is a super big deal in this village.
Yeah. Actually, I was pleased at how big it is and how well populated it is, and I assume that they, had a local fair that they filmed at with this because it's very well done.
Yeah, I mean it was a nice full fair.
Hmm.
It looked better than the circus,
Yeah,
which is only a couple seasons after this, which just goes to show you where the budgets have become.
yeah,
The main attraction seems to be like the only real attractions we see are the classic that horror haunted house ride
yeah,
where Sean is
mhm,
freshly painting a Dracula with more blood,
yeah,
which made me wonder how much blood are they using? Like, oh my god, the blood came off again. More of a touch
Mm,
up.
yeah,
But the big attraction seems to be the Wall of Death motorcycle stunt show. The first time we see it, even like we see Neil Dudgeon walking in, the character as Barnaby, but you can tell even Dudgeon's kind of going, this is pretty cool.
yeah, yeah.
Have you ever seen a motorcycle stunt show like that?
I have not. I don't like really loud noises, so I tend to avoid motorcycles and things. And even though they do them at our fairgrounds, which I can hear from my house, so it's a lot. It's very noisy, even from a mile away.
I've been to state fairs. I've even been to the classic Minnesota State Fair, which
Hmm.
is kind of world renowned.
Hmm.
I've never seen one of these. I don't. I mean, it looks cool. I think after about 5 minutes, I would get it.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're not falling down. Gravity's funny that way.
centrifugal force. Yeah, yeah. But we'll talk about more about the Wall of Death
Yep.
things.
Um, what did you think about Beth being made like? What is who votes on being the Harvest Queen?
Yeah, I liked that the it was just like we're gonna have a harvest queen and it's gonna be the rich family's daughter because we want to keep them at home.
Who's hooking up with our son?
Who's hooking up with our son, and who's like, usually they have like because I've been to these and they have them in like the pretty dresses and everything, and so she shows up in a hoodie and yoga pants,
I don't think she knew she was. I do not think she knew she was in the running. Also, who were the other contestants? I d-
Yeah.
was there anyone demanding a recount? So like this whole episode takes place at this fair. So Eileen, why don't you take us through the history corner of fairs and festivals?
Agricultural fairs and festivals have long been a staple of rural life, and charter fairs, which were granted royal charters, sprang up during the Middle Ages. Originally street fairs for the trading of goods, entertainment became a bigger part by the 19th century. Freak shows, acrobats, conjurers, and jugglers were popular entertainers, and fairgoers could enjoy walking through menageries of exotic animals. The amusement park developed in Denmark with Deer Havsbakken, a pleasure garden dating to 1583. Guests were originally drawn to the supposed curative properties of the spring water, but eventually entertainers and hawkers were drawn to the area by the large crowds. Cabarets and circus revues joined in the 19th century. Pleasure gardens became popular throughout Europe. Seaside resorts and trolley parks developed in the 18th century, offering a variety of amusements. Coney Island in Brooklyn became a popular destination as a horse drawn streetcar brought pleasure seekers starting in 1829, while the railroad opened in 1875, bringing in even more tourists. The carousel was installed the following year, and the first roller coaster, the Switchback Railway, opened in 1884. Traveling shows at the time, including circuses and Wild West shows. We'll delve further into the seaside resorts in England when we discuss the Sword of Guillaume, and Wild West shows when we do Blood on the Saddle. As we learned in our episode on Send in the Clowns, traveling circuses dated to the early 1800s in the United States, and traveling carnivals had their origin on this side of the pond as well. In 1893, the World's Columbian Exposition, also known as the Chicago World's Fair, opened to celebrate the 400th anniversary of Christopher Columbus's arrival in the New World in 1492. This fair featured many new things, including an area called Midway Plaisance, which was turned over to the theatrical entrepreneur Saul Bloom. Along with the popular belly dancers of the streets in Cairo and other sideshows, was a new contraption called the Ferris wheel, which was hugely popular. Other rides were a refrigerated ice railway, which was a type of early roller coaster, a funhouse, and a romantic gondola ride on the lagoon. The popularity of the Midway Plaisance inspired entrepreneurs in the U.S. to develop traveling carnivals. The first documented traveling carnival, the Canton Carnival Company of Ohio, opened its first show in Chillicothe in May of 1899. In 1902, there were 17 traveling carnivals in the U.S., with 46 in 1905. By 1937, there were about 300 carnivals touring the U.S. Over the next century, fraternal societies such as the Elks, Moose, and Kiwanis clubs raised money for their local charities by hiring traveling carnivals. They are also contracted for state and county fairs in the U.S., which combine the agricultural focus of the medieval fairs with the amusement park attractions and games of the Midway. Many of the familiar rides that we love were developed in the late 19th and early 20th centuries as technological advances allowed for mechanization. The carousel, once performed with real horses, developed in the mid 19th century. Swings were an early amusement and eventually became mechanized, while slides developed into log flumes by 1893, as well as the very stylized Helter Skelter at the beginning of the 20th century. Roller coasters were developed from the sledding hills of Russia and were eventually combined with railroad technology. Bumper cars were patented in 1921, and the scrambler was invented in 1938 in Georgia. The Wall of Death made its first appearance at Coney Island in 1911. It developed directly from motordrome racing in the early 1900s. By 1915, the walls became vertical and the amusement was dubbed the Wall of Death. They used and still use Indian Scout motorcycles, and the attraction reached its zenith in the US in the 1930s. It also became very popular in the UK, making its first appearance in 1929. Women riders were, and still are, popular and renowned. Today, there are anywhere from 200 to 300 traveling carnivals in the US. In the UK, where they are called fun fairs, there are about 200 that travel the country in the warmer months. While they face steep competition from permanent amusement parks and theme parks, they still manage to draw crowds, whether at the fairgrounds or in a parking lot at the local mall.
Does your town have a street fair or a fun fair like this?
We just had our county fair actually, which takes uh, place not that far from where I live. So, because the county fairgrounds, are here in town. Um, they also that's where the motorcycle thing happens a lot too. So I hear those. So yeah, it's very yeah. I went a few years back and had fun with the llama costume contest, and seeing things like cute little bunny rabbits and really fun little chickens with that you don't normally see. So it's kind of fun.
Nice. I mean, in New York, if as I've mentioned many times in this podcast, I live in New York City. So we have like street fairs where they
Hmm.
will block off, like, say, Third Avenue for like 15 blocks, and they will have
Hmm.
vendors, and it's like food vendors, like arts and crafts vendors, and then like rides for kids.
Hmm.
Probably the biggest one that most people like, Feast of Saint Gennaro, which is a big one that happens in Little Italy. But then we also have Coney Island,
Hmm.
which has all the rides.
Yeah, all the rides.
Uh,
Very, very famous for having all the rides. Yeah.
yep, it's Coney Island is I love the rides. Um, so I'm very happy that in fact I haven't been in a couple years. So note to self to hit Coney Island soon.
Yeah. I also live about 5-10 minutes from a very large amusement park called Kings Island here in southern Ohio that has some great roller coasters. So we always went when we were a kid. I still eat the pizza that they have there because it's the local pizza chain, and we always call it Kings Island pizza. But yeah, you get those memories from these places that are very fond. Riding A roller coaster with my dad is always one of my great memories.
You want to take us to cast highlights?
Sure. Mira Sayal was poor swimmer Clara Myerscough. Sayal is both a celebrated writer and a celebrated performer with a CBE, an MBE, and a BAFTA fellowship. She has written 3 novels as well as a number of plays and screenplays. On screen, she is best known for playing the mother on The Kumars at number 42, but she's been in Sammy and Rosie Get Laid, Broadchurch, Doctor Strange, and Paddington 2. She recently starred in her own detective series, Mrs. Sidhu Investigates, which I found to be kind of delightful. Sean Delaney was the good son, Sean Nevins. Most people will probably remember him as Kenny on the hit show Killing Eve, but he's also appeared in Life After Life, Venom, Let There Be Carnage, and Sequel. On stage, he appeared in Jez Butterworth's The Ferryman.
I think he played in the New York production as well, like when they brought the West End version of that. So
Oh,
I don't, which I saw, so I might have seen Sean on stage. Um,
okay, cool.
I remember him from Killing Eve, and I remember when he got killed on that show. It was like a huge huge shock. But he
How
hasn't
can it
really.
be a shock? You knew they were going to kill Kenny.
Are you done?
Sorry, the obligatory South Park reference.
You bastard. Um, but no, I mean, it's what I was going to say is like he has not done a lot since then.
Mm,
Like his credits are very sporadic. He hasn't done anything in the last couple of years. I don't know if that means he's pulled away from acting or if he's like doing more theater work. But
hmm
yeah, he hasn't been on screen a lot.
Yeah, in the UK, they you will see these big gaps as they're doing a lot of theater work, um, more than in the with the US actors.
Well, if you see a big gap in the U.S. actors, usually it means they're hard to work with.
Michael Higgs was Rebel Zaddy Butch Nevins. Higgs played PC Eddie Santini for several seasons on The Bill and played Andy Hunter on EastEnders, who was ranked 86th in the all-time greatest EastEnder characters. He also appeared in Wizards vs. Aliens, Shetland, and Agatha Raisin. Lauren O'Neill was really good friend Rowena Daly. O'Neill has acted in The Abominable Snowman, The Queens of Mystery, and London Kills. She's also done a lot of stage work, including Stranger Things, The First Shadow, and appeared in Match.com ad The Girl on the Platform, which I guess was popular in the UK. Sean Gleason played Benedict Cumberbatch's older brother, Rod Barkham. He started his career as an actor for soaps like EastEnders and Doctors, but he began directing episodes for Doctors while he acted on it, and when he stopped acting on the show, he kept directing. He's gone on to producing as well on Casualty, Holby City, Father Brown, and Silent Witness.
I'm joking that he is Benedict Cumberbatch's older brother, but man, they look alike, right?
They do look alike. Yeah, when you wrote that, it was like, oh yeah, he looks exact. I was wondering who he looked like. Yeah.
I thought he might. I had to look. I looked him up while I was watching it. I was like, is this guy like Cumberbatch's brother or something? They look
Yeah.
and they kind of sound alike. So, but nope, not at
Yep.
all.
Helen Schlesinger was Mother with a Secret Serena Wyam. She's done extensive work with the RSC, and on screen she was in 24-Hour Party People, The Hour, Trying, and We Might Regret This. That last one was rather prophetic. Rory Fleck Byrne was horse thief Dale Nevins. Byrne is Irish and has appeared in Harlots, The Foreigner, The Inheritance, Vampire Academy, and This Is Going to Hurt.
Also prophetic.
Michelle Holmes played suffering wife Trina Nevins. She's appeared in Rita, Sue, and Bob 2, Coronation Street, and Above Suspicion. She performed in a pop group called Dunky Daubers. Emma Rydell played Cheatin' Jerry Barkham. She was in the film East is East, Playing the Field, Stig of the Dump, and Emmerdale Farm.
Have you ever heard of Stig of the Dump?
No, but I want to look it up now.
I looked it up. It is, I believe, it is the kid from Love Actually who finds a caveman living in his garbage dump, and they become friends.
Okay. Kind of like a very sad Harry and the Hendersons kind of thing.
It's like a cheap version of Land of the Lost. What if the caveman was here?
Michael Thompson played deep voice pub owner Niall Daly. He's clearly a Scottish actor who played Johnny McConey for 3 years on Holby City. He's also been in Lady M and Retribution. He hasn't done much on screen since 2018, though. Daisy Whaley was our harvest queen, Beth Wyam. She's only had one other short credit to her resume, and it looks like she is out of acting and right now working for a major film producer on the distribution side.
I believe I found the right person on LinkedIn.
Andrew Alexander played floor mat for horses Harry Wyam. Andrew appeared in Downton Abbey, Monuments Men, and Ladhood. He was also a founding member of the vocal group Teatro. Apparently, he switched over to entertainment law. I guess a lot of people are like finding more lucrative things than occasional acting gigs.
Yep.
Nikita Essex played young Amy Wyam. This is her only credit in IMDb, but it looks like she is a college student studying theater.
We only had one real full return visitor this week, and that's David Yelland, who played rich jerk Jasper Wyam. Now, we will see him again in Death and Dust. He's probably best known for roles in Chariots of Fire, David Copperfield, Reg, and Hunter Killer. We also had a large number of uncredited actors, many of whom have done multiple episodes of this show. They helped flesh out the fun fair. So shout out to Bern Kalako, Richard Price, Raja Wasti, Gia Marie Barbara, Susan Fordham, Stephen Hawke, Michael Hayden, Ty Hurley, Martin Mager, Pete Meads, Mike Ray, and John Wennington. And of course, a special shout out to the mayor of Midsomer, Chris Wilson, who played an uncredited police officer, probably searching that fair. Our village star this time is Amber Rose Riva, who played Jessica Myerscough, a mother who will do anything to get her daughter back. She studied acting at Brunel University, and after she graduated, she got her big break in the film I Can't Think Straight. And she's gone on to appear as Mary Magdalene in the miniseries The Bible that was produced by the guy who did Survivor. And then when they edited that 10-hour miniseries into a film called Son of God. Her role is, of course, still in it. She's also probably recognizable to a bunch of people for her 2 seasons in Marvel's The Punisher, which appeared on Netflix, as well as the show Indian Summer, The Peripheral, and she is in the current batch of episodes for The Sandman.
Yeah, the woman who plays her mother is also in The Sandman too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
a lot of British actors are.
Mhm.
I thought she was great in this. She, was very sympathetic and also very believable as a woman kind of spiraling
Mhm.
in an episode where there was not a lot of really showy roles.
Yeah.
She sort of stood out.
Yeah. I think again there was a lot of really great acting, some great character actors here. Um I think and we talked about the cuz you mentioned the sad mother, and there are like 5 sad mothers in this episode, but she brought a lot of depth to this role in a way that compensated for being a bit underwritten, in my
Yes.
opinion.
Yeah.
And we'll discuss that at the end, but yeah.
Oh, I agree. She's someone who I was like actually really pleasantly surprised by how well she did in this.
Mhm.
Which makes me like a little shocked that I have not seen her in more things.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here, and we'll be back with the second half of Harvest of Souls.
Mr. Nevins.
And we're back. Let's talk about the second half of Harvest of Souls.
Well, here we all are then. One big happy family.
Cam tells the detectives that Clara's murder seemed improvised rather than planned. Jessica says she hadn't seen her mom since the argument and found her body this morning. Then all the missing horses except Rowena's are found in a camp in the woods. They trace some organic beer found at the campsite back to the pub, but Niall and Rowena claim to not know who bought it. Dale leaves the fair after a mysterious phone call, and then the detectives show up with a search warrant after tracing the trailer they found at the camp to Butch. He claims that he bought it for someone but doesn't remember who, and then he says he was with Trina all night. But Trina is tired of Butch's BS and says he didn't come home until 2 a.m. A defeated Butch admits he has been having an affair with Jerry. Fingerprints on the beer bottle belong to Rod, who says he took part in the robbery to prove he was still a man after his wife's affair, as well as Harry apparently planning to fire him, but he won't cough up who he worked with. Butch tells Dale he knows he was involved with the theft. Dale tells Butch off for having an affair and hurting his mother. Sean also fights Dale, who tells him to keep his mouth shut. The detectives find Dale's fingerprints on the thieves' horse box. Before they can bring him in, he is found dead, impaled in the wall of death. Ham says this is another improvised killing from someone growing impulsive. His family is devastated, and Butch says he would never hurt his son. The only person he would consider hurting is Jasper. Butch goes to Serena to talk things out once and for all. Nelson brings Jessica in for questioning, believing she staged the drug theft to raise money for a custody battle. She gives up nothing and then calls Rowena asking for her help, which causes Rowena to sneak out of the pub. After Butch leaves, Serena hears a noise and finds Amy missing. As the police investigate, Barnaby asks Jasper why sometime in the 80s the Wyams and the Nevins had a big falling out. Jasper admits that Butch and Serena had an affair before they were married. Serena became pregnant and she and Jasper gave the baby up for adoption, but told everyone, including Butch, that the baby was stillborn. The only other person who knew the truth was Clara. They never knew what happened to the child until last year when they received a letter from an adoption agency saying the child was looking to make contact with them in the hope of finding a donor kidney. But they never responded and never told Butch. Turns out Rowena has Amy and brings her to the woods to meet with Jessica so mother and daughter can run off together. Unfortunately, the reunion is short lived as the police find Rowena's car and arrest Jessica. Rowena says that she and Niall lost their daughter last year to kidney failure, so she knows that no parent should be kept from their child. They had tried to find a donor, but Niall was adopted and couldn't find a match on his side. Well, this is all the brain fart Barnaby needs to head to the pub to talk to Niall. Butch and Serena are already there, lured by a distraught, fire poker brandishing Niall. Here we get the reveal. Niall is, of course, the adopted child. He watched his daughter die and came to the village to get some measure of revenge against his parents who abandoned him in his time of need. While Butch did not know of Niall's existence, that does not let his philandering butt off the hook. Niall killed Harry and Dale so they both might learn the grief of losing a child, and Clara sadly had figured out who Niall was and knew too much. Now, Barnaby manages to talk him down, and Niall collapses into Serena's arms, both of them sobbing. So the only people getting a happy ending in this one are the Barnabys, as they abandon that trip to France for a road trip that allows them to bring Sykes along.
Oh, good for Sykes.
Good for Sykes. I mean, even if they had left him, he would just like be holding on to the plane with his. But we're gonna get into the whole Sykes thing.
Yeah, we will get into the Sykes thing.
All right. Strange kill number 2 in this episode was I felt drowning in an equine spa. I
Mhm.
had to look up what that thing was because they never quite explained it. And I was like, what is that thing? They are just used to treat horse injuries.
Mhm. I grew up in Lexington, Kentucky, horse
Mhm.
capital of the world. So even if I'm not related, doing anything in the horse industry, you kind of by osmosis gather all this, horse
Yeah.
information. So I actually knew what that was.
This seemed like a very brutal, unnecessary death again. And even though Niall seemed to be kind of unhappy that he had killed Clara,
Mhm.
he did give he did give her like he cattle prod her. She went down, and then he went back and just did it again just for an extra,
Yeah.
which seemed more angry than anything.
Yeah. These were very angry murders.
Yes, yes. Which leads us to our killer, who is Niall, wanting his revenge as an escape from the grief. I have to say, Niall was a strong runner-up for Village Star,
Mhm.
because that last scene, he really, really made you feel the loss of his child.
Yeah, he was really terrific in that. And you really bought it. And to be honest, it was on my last uh rewatch before recording last night, I was like struck also by how beautiful the scoring was done. And I don't always
Mhm.
notice it, but I really noticed it on that one because you get that whole tension and then you get that sadness, and they did a really beautiful job there.
That whole sequence is really powerful.
Mhm.
All the more so by his performance.
Yeah.
Again, a strong actor who I'm really shocked we haven't seen more of, or at least haven't heard that deep voice.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Every time he talked, I was like, is he a walking echo chamber?" He really wanted Serena and Butch to feel the same pain that he had felt,
Mhm.
so that they could all be one big grieving family.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, I thought obviously he and Rowena, very dysfunctional in their grief.
Mhm.
But there's a moment where Rowena's making an appointment on the phone. Did you think abortion?
I didn't, I thought it might be about the pub, actually. I thought she might have been trying to sell it out from under Niall.
It was something about the use of the word appointment, I think.
Yeah,
That was like something medical
yeah.
is what it made it seem to me. Where did Niall get the gun and the silencer?
They never explain a lot of the details on the murders on these.
They even said the gun was traced back to several crimes in East London.
Yeah,
How did he get it?
yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of hanging, because they don't explain how he got the ketamine initially because it
Nope.
wasn't from the Clara's
Yep.
stock. Um, they don't explain how he got that really large post into Dale's chest.
Well, I think Dale was pushed probably from a height and landed there.
Yeah,
But they didn't show it to us to give us that element of surprise.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, that's what I assumed that he like the only way he was impaled is he must have been pushed off the top of
yeah,
the wall of death.
yeah, yeah. This is when those, and they don't do them much anymore. But those early Barnaby flashbacks to the murders would have been nice. And I
Yes.
know it would have kind of broken up the scene, but they could have explained at least, oh, he was pushed from, there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't go it's not as bad as Moon Man
Mhm.
with his with ninja skills,
Yeah.
but it does there was a sense of it almost was like a Halloween style,
Mhm.
where it's just is like, "Oh, you're next to a toaster. I'm going to stick your face in the toaster and turn it on."
Yeah.
That kind of grisliness.
Yeah. And yet he goes to one of their performances with a gun and stands behind a curtain where I guess the lighting apparatus is, and he's like aiming at him with a big crowd around him, like he's gonna get away after killing this guy. I don't know if he ever intended to get away or not, but
Well, maybe that's why he didn't do it.
yeah,
You know, it was a weird sequence because again, where would he get the silence?
yeah, yeah,
This isn't America. This is England.
yeah.
You can't just walk into any Walmart. The big thing that I think was sort of really left unresolved,
Mhm.
the big question mark is Jessica.
Yeah,
What did Jessica do? What
yeah,
was all of this was like she's not a model mom. She did a lot of stuff and that's why she can't ever see her child again. Even though I'm not quite sure legally that would ever be, there would
yeah.
be but what? You don't know.
Yeah, that is the part I felt was really underwritten with this character because it's like, were there drugs, alcohol?
Yeah.
Did she leave her abandoned somewhere to go have an affair with somebody? I don't know. Like, yeah,
Did she sleep with Butch? I mean,
yeah,
he seemed to get around.
yeah. And to be honest, for me that is a huge failing in the script writing on this because you needed to kind of have some reason why she was cut out of this child's life other than, well, they're lying about me, and she can say
Yeah.
that, and to be honest, we might believe her because we don't know, you know
Yeah. I didn't honestly was she mentally unstable?
yeah.
But it's hard to tell because this is a person that's literally the character the way her everything is. She's pushed into a corner to
Hmm.
behave in an unstable way.
Yeah.
Also, when they go into so the first time the Barnaby and Nelson are interviewing the Wyams,
Hmm.
they talk about Jessica. Oh, well, she's great. They don't mention that there's a restraining order.
Yeah.
That's the first thing you mention.
Yeah. I mean, they obviously don't like her. It just seems like that would have been the first thing that Jasper would have said is, oh yeah, they're divorced, and oh, by the way, there's a restraining order against her because of this.
Yeah,
That should have been part of that whole dialogue. Yeah.
exactly. And then when you do get this wonderful, it is a really sweet, lovely reunion, mother and
Hmm.
daughter. They
Yeah.
seem happy to be together. Then they are horrifically ripped apart,
Yeah.
and we are left to never know what happened.
It's rather horrifying the way that that whole thing is treated. It's like almost a like if she hadn't given such a sympathetic performance, maybe it would have been easier, but she does give a very sympathetic performance. We don't know what she had done. If we had heard that she, yeah, she was, strung out on drugs and her daughter almost died, that would have changed the audience's perception of her character
Yeah,
dramatically. But without any reason why she is not allowed to be with her daughter, we don't know. And the fact,
does it
yeah,
feel to you like there's like 5 minutes of this episode that was edited out that explained a lot of this stuff, this backstory? They just felt, oh, we don't need it.
I don't know if it was left out or if it was never there in the first place because they, for some reason, they thought it wasn't necessary, and it was necessary.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
two major characters,
yeah,
we don't know their backstory
yeah.
fully. And so when they're doing all this weird stuff or all this, we have no clue what's going. We have no real, as you say, no real way to connect or know the truth of these characters.
Mhm,
If Niall is using a gun that was like used in crimes in East London with a silencer and
mm,
access to ketamine,
mhm.
seems to me this guy might not have been doing legal stuff.
Yeah,
Would be good to know. Yeah, it just again, this was like it felt like, well, we have to have this in under an hour and a half.
mhm.
What is not 100% necessary.
And, for me, there were other things that were could have been cut out. Motivation for a couple of your major characters is pretty necessary.
Oh yes.
I will say I did love the shots of the carnival because I thought there were, again, amazing filming. Um, and as I brought up, the way they intercut the scenes of the carousel with the first murder, but also you really get that whole hurdy gurdy feel to the carnival. It's supposed to be a little. There's supposed to be an element of
Crooked.
vertigo and yeah, and it is seedy.
Yeah.
There's a seediness to it. But you get the feel that that everything's a little off kilter, and they did a beautiful job filming that.
Butch loves being a carny.
Yeah.
He gets great joy from it. Let's talk a little bit about the Nevins and the Wyams and their family feud. Da da
Mhm.
da 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 da. So I guess it's centered around that Butch, bad boy Butch, had an affair with Serena. I'm not quite. I don't know if I really quite buy that Jasper and Serena would have been friends with a carny,
Yeah.
but this obviously made Jasper hate Butch. It made Jasper and Serena very, very bitter.
Mm.
That they did not seem to have a happy marriage, correct?
That is true.
It seemed to me that Serena was a character that was motivated by the guilt of
Mm.
she didn't want to give up that child.
In the absence of any backstory for Jessica on why she did not have absence to her child, their whole motivation when keeping Amy seems extremely selfish.
Yes, but then Butch. I can understand why they met. Never have told Butch about
Mhm.
the baby. He acts like he's like the charming rogue, but he's also just like a big man child.
Yeah. Yeah, total man child. And the one you feel a lot for is Trina. Trina is, yeah, she's covered for him for all these years. She reached her breaking point, though.
By the way, did you notice that there's some weird, especially in the first half, there was a lot of weird moments about Beth and Sean being together that
Mhm,
made it also kind of was like, are they related? Like, are
mhm.
they? Like, I was like, oh, are we going down the incest rabbit hole again?
Yeah, yeah, because of the way Jasper reacts to him. Yeah,
And then I want to talk a little bit about the ending where they're tied up and talking to and Niall
mhm,
is telling them everything.
yeah,
They really didn't seem to grasp for a long time that their granddaughter was dead.
yeah,
If I was Butch and I had found out about that from Serena, I might have been a little mad
yeah,
that they like. But not only that, like Serena, I think you could like when Barnaby's like, no one is to blame, and I'm like, technically,
yeah.
I think you could say Jasper and Serena might carry some blame here.
Oh, Jasper is the total villain of this
Yeah,
whole episode. Yeah,
and he gets no comeuppance.
yeah. He gets away with everything. He gets away with being selfish and judgmental and He basically turned his back on a suffering child, which is
Yeah.
really horrific, and gets away with everything.
Almost it was a little bit of like, well, we're rich.
Yeah.
What was I watching? I was watching Parasite last night, right?
Hmm.
And there's a line in there about like, well, they're wealthy, so they all their problems just kind of iron out.
Yeah.
And that's what they kind of did. They just sort of ironed out and forgot that there was a child out there, and
Yeah.
then like it all comes back to them.
Yeah.
But there is someone to blame here. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
They also drag down the Barkums a little bit. I
Hmm.
feel like apparently Jerry says she has an affair because Rod is so busy trying to keep. Well, he really loves horses too much. But he's also trying to make Harry and Jasper too happy.
Yeah.
And so she ends up having the affair, which leads to him
Mhm.
committing the robbery.
Yeah.
This Wyam family's bad.
Yeah.
Bad news.
Yeah.
Sean, run. Sorry, Beth, but you can't trust. Run, Sean.
Yeah.
All right, shall we discuss the what I am calling the Sykes saga of this episode?
Yeah, we have to get into the Psych saga.
Because it really is it is the cornerstone connection point of corner detective work and home life in this
Hmm.
episode.
Yeah.
And it is also point out this they get this. I don't know if they knew this is going to be Sykes' final episode, but this was the dog that played Sykes was did retire
Hmm.
after this episode. Apparently, he had been getting like I think he was getting deaf
Hmm.
or blind, and it was so they gave him I guess a send off with this adventure.
Yeah.
Um, the Barnabys want to travel to La Rochelle, France. The issue is that Sykes apparently has separation anxiety
Hmm.
and can't actually be kenneled. He does not get along with other dogs. He refuses to stay kenneled. Um, they take him to a tasting at a kennel, and it does not go well. Apparently, Sykes would not spit out the wine.
I've never heard it called a tasting, but I did when I had my late dog. She did try out a few kennels
Uh,
before we found the right one.
um, they take him to another kennel where he breaks out,
That is such a great scene. Yeah.
runs home. Well, I love the whole build up to it because it's this weird moment of where you just
Mhm.
see Barnaby sitting at the table,
Yeah.
waiting for dinner, staring off into space.
Hmm.
She brings the frog legs down, which I'm sorry, it's not a crazy thing. I'm pretty sure frog legs is probably pretty common in the UK.
Yeah.
But Barnaby runs like it's a plate of vomit, opens the door, and there's Sykes. While Sarah answers the phone to find out that Sykes has run away.
Yeah.
It was a little over the top. You couldn't even say kennel. They had to speak French.
Yeah, poor dog. They never taught him French.
Like I've never my dog does not handle being put into I cannot kennel my dog. She does not handle it well.
Hmm.
So I feel for them. So then you have Nelson and Cam
Hmm.
going through an episode competing to be who's the one who's gonna ask to take care of Sykes.
Hmm.
Which I'm like, why are you competing over this? Is this like a suck up competition? Why aren't the Barnabys asking?
Yeah.
Just ask.
Yeah. There are professional dog sitters. And the fact that they have always made Cam so hyper competitive about everything. And I think that's one of the things that was kind of off putting about her, why a lot of people didn't really warm up to her as a character, was that.
Y-
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't really give her, she only had 2 seasons. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's not really a lot of time. But it was a strange sort of,
Hmm.
I didn't understand any of it. It was meant to give them busy work,
Yeah.
but it made absolutely no sense because again, I was like, oh, we are just having a hard time finding a kennel for Sykes. Oh, I'd take Sykes.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
Yeah. And the thing is that they could have cut all that out and actually devoted
Yes,
more time to explaining the murders or why Jessica
preach,
couldn't see that
preach,
or yeah.
preach. However, we did get the world's dumbest ending to a Midsummer ever, where they're driving in that van singing "Coming Round the Mountain."
Mhm.
Who does that?
Nobody.
Nobody does that
No.
ever.
No.
Last time that was done seriously was in the 1870s.
And ironically, in the 1980s.
They apparently rent the same van that they used for the holiday to
Turkey.
Torquay. It kind of sounded like he was also saying Talkie, which is also a village.
Ah, yeah,
So
Turkey.
it was weird. And now they have Sykes and Betty
Mhm.
and his Bermuda shorts.
Yeah. Those lovely Bermuda shorts.
She was right to toss them. They were hideous.
Totally justified. Yeah.
Dad shorts.
Yeah. Totally justified in getting rid of the dad shorts. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Cam and Nelson have dog toys, and then they go to the fair and do the coconut game,
Yeah.
which does imply that they were going to hook up, right? Because that's foreplay in Midsummer. You play the coconut game, and then you go hook up.
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, they're very hyper competitive about it. Yeah.
And speaking of Nelson, this was actually Nelson's final appearance in the series. The actor left to go do Bohemian Rhapsody,
Mhm.
and he was replaced with Winter, who we have to this day.
Yeah.
And they gave him some great stuff, great little stuff to do in this
Mhm.
episode. Like you had I love that scene where they're interviewing Barkham,
Mhm.
and he just does the power move of like Barkham's like leaning way back, and Barkham's like, "I need you to sit closer to speak in the mic."
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a great power move.
And I like that there's been a lot of trust developed with Barnaby and Nelson in this because he's like saying, "Okay, you go do this and I'll go do this." It's not like
Yeah.
he has to like babysit Nelson through everything. Yeah.
He also did a classic Barnaby of nobody was home at Jessica's place, so he just went right in.
Yeah.
But then she comes home immediately afterwards and doesn't even ask what the hell he's doing in her house
At night. Yeah.
at night.
Yeah.
Not weird.
Not weird at all. And she did
Uh,
not scream.
nope. We had another classic Barnaby talk down scene, which
Mhm.
is the new reveal.
Yeah.
It, it's overdone.
Yeah, I mean, in this situation, I don't know if he was intending to kill both of them or if he just wanted them to live with their guilt and live with the fact that, they were the reason that that their sons were killed. But it does get a little overdone. I would have liked again to see more on how the murders were committed because
Yeah.
that's really why you wanna watch a murder mystery is there's a bit of the whole how did they do it, as well as
It,
a whodunit.
and lastly, during his interrogation scene, why
Mhm.
does Sean just refuse to make eye contact?
Yeah, that was kinda weird initially. He's just kinda sitting off and, yeah, just
Like,
staring.
hey man, this isn't your parents. This isn't your parents, and they caught you like sneaking out. He's like, look at him.
Yeah.
Swear to God. What are your final thoughts on Harvest of Souls?
Um, I don't think it's a great episode. I think there are elements that are really good, but as we've discussed, I think it has some fatal flaws. Well, not maybe not fatal, but some really issues with the script in that they don't explain what Jessica was doing and they don't fully explain Niall's background. That needed to be part of this, as we've said. Filming great, acting great. Um, the whole feel of the village, the village fair was wonderful. I really felt that it was a full fair. And I but it just lacked a little in the script department.
I thought this episode's a massive bummer.
Oh well, yeah, it's totally.
Eh, all the families are devastated.
Hmm.
There is there's no glimmer of hope,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
Niall and Rowena, they're done.
yeah,
Jessica's probably going to go to jail and probably not see her daughter for another 10 years.
yeah,
The Butch's family is torn apart. It's just, it is unrelentingly depressing.
yeah.
And then you have the amazingly weird
Yeah.
Sykes thing, which I guess is supposed to be the counterbalance, but it's also just it's you go from like the Sykes thing is super slapstick.
Yeah.
It's super screwball. So you have a massive tone shift between this really serious, depressing story about family
Mhm.
to this wacky screwball thing. There's no balance there, and I just feel like if you're gonna I feel like this show needed a glimmer of hope. I feel like we needed some like maybe we didn't need Jessica and Amy to be like torn apart like that. Maybe what we needed was Rowena having evidence that showing them evidence that they had faked
Yeah.
the thing. So then, oh, there's a reason Jessica and Amy can be together. So there can be hope for the future.
Yeah.
There is no hope for the future.
No. Everything is torn apart. So many people get arrested because I assume that Rowena is also arrested because she assisted in the kidnapping of Amy,
Yeah.
really. And the like I said, the only person who has no consequences in this is Jasper, and for me he is the worst villain in this.
Plus, there's no recount for the Harvest Queen. And I swear there has to be more eligible candidates than Beth.
But I do agree with the tonal shifts because any kind of time you have these, and I've seen them done very, very well, and I've seen them not done well, and it's very hard to do them well. And this didn't quite get it right, you know?
Yeah. I think one of the things that kind of bugs me sometimes with this show, especially in the more recent episodes, is there's no emotional weight.
Hmm.
So Barnaby is ripped apart a family, right? Jessica and Amy.
Yeah.
There's no like coming home to his wife like, I had a really bad day today.
Yeah.
I had a really bad day. This woman and her daughter, I had to rip them apart, and it like the daughter is, I've probably helped horribly scar this child for life.
Yeah. She's traumatized. Yeah.
Yeah. So can we just have a glass of wine and like just like chill out for a while, or can I put my Bermuda shorts on, please?
Hmm.
None of it. There's no. There's just like, and we're off to France
Yeah.
on the back of a children's tears.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're off to Turkey in a van, and they're singing a song that nobody has sung in
Yeah.
100 years. Yeah. And it feels like, and you would occasionally get this with Tom Barnaby. He would come home and he, especially with Cully, he would talk about this
Yeah.
more than with even with Joyce. He would talk about the toll of the job. You don't see. I mean, especially this episode, there should have been a reckoning of how all this played out.
I mean, he should have gone home and hugged his child,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
that would have been a scene of just like I feel the weight of the humanity of everything that I witness. But
Yeah.
this show really can't do that because then you would have to really deal with the fact that your detectives see multiple homicides every
Hmm.
day,
Yeah.
every 2 days.
Yeah. Again, we've talked about this, and I think it's just some of the switches that have happened because we're not really explaining a lot of how murders are being done. We're getting this psychological talk down, and there's this great scene, but then John Barnaby seems to leave it all behind at that
Yeah.
point. There's no impact that he brings to his home life, and that there has to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Total bummer.
Yeah.
Well, that's everything we wanted to talk about. Now, if you have anything you wanted to discuss about Harvest of Souls or Midsummer Murders, feel free to email us at welcometomidsomer@gmail.com. If you want us to use the email in the show, just say so in the email. We're also Welcome to Midsummer on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and YouTube. Over there, we've been uploading our old episodes. We're actually almost caught up, so please follow us in all these places. We'll probably be dropping YouTube at the same time we drop at everything else. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to us, rate and review us on iTunes, turn on your automatic downloads. All of this really helps people find us. Tell all your friends about us. We're going to be back soon with a new episode, and we hope that you will join us again then. And as we take the road out of Midsummer, we want to thank you for listening and remind you that in Midsummer, the wall of death can be murder.
It's in the name, people.
Welcome to Midsummer is produced by Eric Buscher and Eileen Becker. All clips in this podcast are used in compliance with the U.S. Copyrights Act fair use exception for criticism and commentary. Our logo and podcast art was designed by Smeedrai. Our theme music is by the infamous Space.